Greetings, YouTube, Rumble, and other social media site, website, thingy dealies, whatever. It's fine. So today, or actually it was recorded previously, but me and a friend are discussing the contract discussed between Steven Crowder from Louder with Crowder and Daily Wire, that whole contract negotiation, or lack thereof. As well as the D&D OGL presented guidelines. I know it's still an ongoing contract negotiation that Wizards of the Coast and Dungeons & Dragons is trying to figure out to maximize profit and yet not piss off their entire community. So just sit back, relax, enjoy two fools talk about subjects they really don't know anything about. Get ready for a trigger warning. Okay, so you watched all the videos that I sent you. Okay, so in like chronological order that I sent them to you, what is your, well, I guess overall, across all videos, what is your take on this whole situation?
It sounds like a textbook reasoning for why you shouldn't try to go into business with your friends.
Yeah, it's like I can understand both sides.
Well, and here's the thing, right? It just is. It's a textbook reason for why you shouldn't try to go into business with your friends, because one person has one set of beliefs. Crowder has the belief that you can't bend to the tech company's demands. It's a big tech. You can't bend to it, which for the movement that he's involved with, is the right view set to have.
Yeah.
And you have the Daily Wire, who, not trying to be a dick to Crowder, but he knows how to run a business, but not to the size of the Daily Wire, right? And so there are different. It's a different ball game.
Yeah.
Right? So when words are hard when you just wake up. So when people for them to say it's just business is wrong. And for him to say, if this is just business, do business differently, is wrong.
Well, to counter that though, if you take their friendship, which use loosely, think of their friendship more as like work associates. Like they're not like me and you friends. They're not even like you and Corey friends or you and Brett friends. They're like, people who you work alongside with that share somewhat adjacent beliefs. So anyways, but as far as like the metrics of the contract, as far as business is concerned, that contract is still a bad contract from a business perspective, because the amount that Steven Crowder could bring in.
I think when you look at it, the way that the contract was worded was strongly in favor of the business itself.
Oh yeah, no, that was part of it, is the fact that essentially and he tries to defend the point in the Daily Wire video of like, oh well, it's a risk taking you on and blah blah blah, but there's not, and I'll give you two reasons why. The first reason is the ad reads. Those ad reads for Daily Wire are probably in between $100,000 and $250,000 per month. And then on top of that, you also have Steven Crowder bringing over people from Mug Club. That alone is more than $50 million over 4 years. So that alone covers that cost. And that's not including ad reads or any other revenue aspects that they're taking into consideration. And that's the thing that really sucks about it is with that contract, the way it was written is there is no production growth for Steven Crowder. He has the same production costs for 4 years. So how is he supposed to improve his production if he has no extra production costs as he's growing?
And that's what I was saying was, yes, but also you have to look at it in terms of the sense that you have to look at it in the sense of for them, they know that this is the way that running their business works. So anything they take on for him is going to be a risk. And it is going to be a risk because, to be clear, anything he does is a risk.
Right? That's not true. Not in that contract. If Steven Crowder does anything wrong, Steven Crowder no longer gets money, so Daily Wire's not getting affected. That's a zero risk contract. The way that it is written, it's a zero risk contract for Daily Wire. Because in the end, if let's say, Steven Crowder got completely blacklisted from every social media site, couldn't produce his show, whatever, how that contract is written is he would owe 110% of that contract back. And that's not including the fees for not producing an episode, not producing the monthly, quarterly, or annual productions either. That is just the fees or fines by getting censored.
Okay. And I understand that. Okay? And trust me, I understand where he's coming from in terms of, well, we need to get away from this, right? Like, it makes sense. He's right. Like, as a country as a whole, we need to get away from letting certain people control what can be said and what is acceptable in that platform, in online platforms.
Yeah.
However, and it is a big however, for Daily Wire currently, and for most companies currently, what's it, Rumble?
Yeah.
Well, Rumble can replace it is not a valid argument. Correct.
Not at this moment in time. For Steven Crowder, it is, because I to a certain extent, he, like, during the midterm elections, he did a live show during it on Rumble, because at that time he had been he had a strike, and so he was suspended off YouTube, and so he streamed it on Rumble for the midterms, and that was the largest election live stream ever, and it wasn't on YouTube.
Right.
and I think like so. I have the numbers up right now. So Steven Crowder has 6 million subscribers on YouTube. On the low end, he's got 350,000 Mug Club, up to like I've seen numbers as high as 600,000. But anyways, and then I think on Rumble he's pushing up towards 1 million on Rumble alone.
Right, but here's the problem. That is an unknown, publicly owned company.
It is unknown to a large portion of America. Like if you're independent, libertarian, or Republican or conservative, then you know what Rumble is.
I understand, but you know of it. But has it proved? It hasn't been. How long's it been around for? 2 years? 3 years?
No, it's been around for 4.
Okay, so I was a little bit off. It was 3-4 years.
Yeah.
Okay, how long's YouTube been around?
Decades.
Okay, so it is an unknown. Even if you know what it is, it's an unknown. It's a baby company. It hasn't even gone through the growth stages of a company yet.
It's not gone through the growth that YouTube has. However, in the amount of time that it has existed, it's grown faster than YouTube did at the same time.
Jake, I'm not talking about versus YouTube versus Twitter. I'm talking about as a company. It's not 5 years old. The first 5 years of a company is when a company is built and decided.
Okay, yes, I can understand that.
In any company, that's when it's built. That's when the big changes happen. After 5 years, it is much harder for a company to go, actually, I want to sell manure.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, yes, it's a known because that's what it's doing currently and that's what it has done. But it could still sell out. It's still under 5 years old. Things could still change dramatically in that company. It is still a baby company.
Yeah.
So it is a risk, period. Even as a company moving to that being your form of income. And that's what I'm saying. Like Rumble, you're saying it's not a risk for Crowder. Rumble's a huge risk for Crowder. If Rumble sells out, and it sells out to Black Diamond or whatever it is, the company that owns BlackRock, the company that owns everything.
Yeah.
He's fucked. It's a huge risk for him. Because it's like I say, it's still a baby company. It's an independent company, a publicly owned company. All BlackRock has to do is buy 51% of the shares. Right?
Well, so it's not a public company though. There are no shares. It's privately owned.
Sorry, it's a privately owned company.
Yeah.
But all BlackRock has to do
is just give them enough money.
Yeah, exactly. And that's my point, right?
Yeah.
And so for anyone, so you can't say it's no risk. It may be low risk for the people who have been there and trust it and maybe know the owner and have talked to the owner because they've been there for a long time. But nothing in this world is no risk. And for a company that hasn't... For a company like Daily Wire, so think about it like this, right? You transport luxury items, right, realistically, right?
Yeah.
To people's houses, right?
Yeah.
And so if as a company you use what, like flatbeds?
So
box trucks?
Our company has flatbeds, semis, and box trucks.
So you have no idea, from what you just told me, your company doesn't know if a Tundra pulling a trailer would work.
I mean, depending on location, it would.
Right.
But as far as like the way that they've built their company, no, that would not work.
Right. Logically speaking, yes, it would. And I'm trying to dumb it down so that and use something different so that makes sense easier for me to explain and for you to understand where I'm coming from. And so a Tundra pulling a trailer would be a risk. Yes, it will work in 90% of environments because you're not hauling, you're not hauling houses, you're hauling appliances, luxury appliances.
Yeah.
And you're not hauling them across the fucking pyramids. You're going up and down mostly well-paved roads. So a Tundra pulling a trailer would work logically, but how do you build that into your business model? And I think that's where, like, I understand where the Daily Wire was coming from in the fact that they know that using semis and box trucks works for them.
Yeah.
And they don't know how using a Tundra with a trailer translates to that.
That is true, because like everyone else on Daily Wire is essentially just like an employee. Like they have the hosts, but the hosts don't have their own show. They don't have their own production team. They don't have their own employees. Whereas like with Steven Crowder and Louder with Crowder, he does all, it's all in-house.
Oh, and if you want to get into the number's ridiculously low.
Oh, yes.
And they understand that. That's not 50 million in his pocket. That is 50 mil.
Yeah, it's $67,000 to produce one episode.
It's 12.5 mil. Hang on. Let me do the math.
It's 12.5 mil per year, and then it comes down to like 63 or 67,000 per episode, not counting monthly, annual, quarterly, any of that stuff.
They said that they were going to take that.
Correct.
No, they said that Daily Wire was going to take that cost on. Right?
Correct.
But it's what, 192 shows a year?
Yes. And I think that's another reason why it was like in the contract, like if he missed an episode, then he got $100,000 reduced off of his salary / fee, whatever terminology you want to use. And then like if he missed an episode due to illness or whatever, it was at a pro rata, and pro rata is the 63 or 60, like, so he just doesn't get the money for that episode. Which is understand.
The 100,000 is to, and this is where I think Daily Wire. I think both of them are very good at using language, right? The guy from the Daily Wire and Louder with Crowder are both very good at using language to make things sound horrible from someone else's perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
They both have very convincing arguments, and when you delve down deep into it, and you actually look at it, what is the difference? One of them is a globally recognized conglomeration, and the other one is an American recognized free speech activist.
Yeah.
Well, an American recognized free speech activist has a lot more leeway than a global conglomeration. On top of that, they wrote it so that they could make more money because they're a company. Like that's when he's like, it's just business. For the lawyers and the accountants that wrote the contract, it is.
Yeah.
It is business. They are trying to make the company as much money as possible.
Yeah.
That's why you need lawyers and accountants to go and counter in those kind of talks. Now, the fact that they had, the fact that they had things in the contract that he couldn't agree with, and it was a no-starter, is like, okay, cool, move on.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that it's now in the public space is...
See, and that's what a lot of people have a problem with, is the fact that this is public. But the thing is, Daily Wire is the one who outed themselves. And that's, I think, what really started all of this, was when Daily Wire responded.
Yeah,
because
when you sent when I watched the first video and
Uh-huh.
you sent it to me and it was louder, it was Crowder, and he was going off. Nothing through my head when that's the Daily Wire, that's that's company
Yeah.
B, that's company C, that's company D that are making those offers. The fact that Daily Wire outed themselves, I mean, it was smart so that there was no more discourse in the realm of, well, it's not them, they would never do something like that, versus it is them, you don't know what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Because the people that are defending them obviously care about them.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to come to their defense like, no, yeah, it was us. Don't defend us on this. But also just let it blow over. Like,
yeah.
There's no need for any of that. Like, he had a statement to make. He made a statement without going, company A, B, C are cunts, and this is what they're doing, right? Like,
Yeah.
he didn't. Like, he said, these are the kind of contracts that are out there, and these are the kind of terms, and they're despicable in my opinion.
Yeah, because they're very predatory.
To be very clear, opinions are like assholes. No one wants to smell anyone else's, right? But tell me if I'm wrong, but
No.
like, yeah, like, and so it makes, from his perspective of, right, like, let's be honest, he's in the realm of the 5%. He's not the 1%, but he's in the realm of the 5%. He's independently wealthy.
Yeah.
If he was to have no platform to post on, he would still be okay, and he would make money. And
he would, yes.
His company wouldn't. No, but he is in that position where he can do things that could hurt his company because he'll be all right.
Yeah, but he's not that person.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that's what he's doing here, but there's a different mindset to be there.
Yeah.
Right? The Daily Wire has employees, so yeah, you might be the owner of the Daily Wire, but you're getting paid a salary.
Yeah.
So if you do something that kills the Daily Wire, your salary stops. No one, in my opinion, no one at the Daily Wire is rolling in fucking cash, going, I could lose this and not care.
No.
And I don't think, to clarify, I don't think Crowder is thinking like that. But I think that Crowder's position changes his mindset when talking about and making those kind of decisions. Like, it is his opinion that you don't need YouTube. Name me someone else that can survive in that realm that will survive perfectly fine if they are banned from YouTube.
Well, I think at that time you're going to be like, essentially you're going to be a behind the paywall face. So like previously he was working at Blaze, and so like Blaze TV has personalities that occasionally do YouTube, but most of their stuff is behind the paywall. Whereas Steven Crowder was kind of a 50-50 kind of guy. Like, half of his show is on YouTube, but half of it's behind the paywall.
Right. And that's where I struggle. Because he's already doing that, right? And so he could have had... Both people on that phone call had to not want the contract to work for this to happen. They didn't want the contract to work.
Well, it
doesn't matter how you look at it. Neither of them wanted the contract to work.
Well, that initial contract.
In my opinion, from the beginning. I think they sent that contract over going, we'll see if he wants to negotiate, wing, wing, nudge, nudge, because if he wants to negotiate, we can get him to bend on some stuff. And he saw that and said, you can go fuck yourself.
Well, and
right?
so, like, that's a other thing is, like, personality-wise, he just really wasn't a good fit for Daily. Like, but yeah, they're both conservative influencers, but everything with Daily Wire is still, like, you know, following all the rules that are set before you. Like, none of them say anything against, you know, against the things that you're not supposed to say. Like,
this is. Let me finish my point. Right. This is what I'm saying. Like, Crowder could have had a conversation that went along the lines of, no, it's not a guaranteed amount. It's They could have hashed out the restrictions to make it profit sharing. This is what it's going to cost over the next 6 years for me to make the content that you want me to make for you. That is the guaranteed amount that I need to be able to put this content out.
Mm-hmm.
My money is profit sharing. Whatever money you make from Mud Club, from ad revenue on my videos, like, there's a way to make that happen.
Well,
and like, if he gets banned on YouTube, the repercussions of that is profit share between them. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
it's beneficial for both parties.
It's proof in the pudding, right?
Yeah.
Like he can survive without YouTube. Okay, well, go ahead and prove it, because your paycheck is going to, and the Daily Wire's paycheck is going to directly reflect that. That's a 50-50 share.
Yeah.
And that's the you know, what part of the last video that you sent me was they briefly said it. The problem I actually had with that video was they were topic hopping so quick.
Yes.
That it's damn near impossible to keep up with one.
Yeah, because the problem was, because at that point it had almost been an entire week, and there had been so much that had happened, and they only had, you know, X amount of time for this interview, and so they were trying to get answers for every single question all in one show, and it was all over the place on that show.
But no, so my point is, there was a lack of good, in my opinion, and like I said, opinions are like assholes. In my opinion, if both of them, if they had sent it in a way that was like, here's what we think, it's going, there was a way to send that contract and make it so that, like, hey, this is what we're thinking, please call us, kind of shit, right? Whereas from the sound of it, in both points of view, like, the Daily Wire saying, this is the contract we send, this is the basic contract we send everyone. Well, that's a dumb response. Saying you're not getting fucked, we fucked everyone the same, doesn't mean I'm getting less fucked.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you're gonna fuck me, call me Candy. Like,
yeah.
Just because you're calling everyone Candy doesn't mean you're not still fucking me.
Yeah.
And so there's, I don't know, there's a part of that going on there, and I think a lot of it is a part of that going on.
Well, yeah, I think the initial
they are taking, I think they're taking advantage of people that don't understand. I like, having seen the way the Daily Wire reacted and the contract and everything. I think the Daily Wire needs to be very careful about its next steps, because it does look like it is taking advantage, and it does look like it is like, it is not enforcing for big tech, but it's rather than poking the bear to get the bear out of the way, it's trying to sidestep the bear and avoid it as a problem.
Well, and also I feel like with Daily Wire and the content that they produce is not so much more, it's not so much like against the system, it's just a different system. It's like a right-leaning Hollywood is what they're trying to create.
Right, which is fine.
Yeah, it's just a different movement than what Steven Crowder has. Steven Crowder is against the system.
Right. And so, and that's fine also. Steven Crowder is not a good fit for Daily Wire. But, and this is where I have a problem. The Daily Wire is a fucking business. And they should have been able to see, like, Steven Crowder's going to generate views. He's going to generate a push. Even though, like, even though it may not be the directly same movement that we want our company to be associated with, he is going to bring over views. He is going to bring over people to watch other things. If they'd have had half a fucking brain, you tell him, like, hey, we want you to produce, instead of 192 shows, we want, like, I don't know what he does. He does hour-longs?
So he does an hour-long on YouTube, and then behind the paywall is usually like 45 minutes to another hour.
Okay, so same shit.
Yeah.
We want you to do the same shit, but it's now on our website.
Well, and so that's what all of his previous contracts were licensing agreements. So everything that he was doing was there in-house, and then he was getting profit share off of the memberships, but Crowder got all the revenue off YouTube, like all the revenue off social, all the revenue off of his own website.
Right.
And Daily Wire's like the complete opposite.
And that is where the Daily Wire goes. It's just business. Because they are trying to make more money to expand quickly. And they know that Mud Club and all of Crowder's revenue is where the majority of the money is going to be. And so they want their fingers in the pot.
Yeah, I feel like for
what the Daily Wire does, which is take people like Brett Cooper, Ben Shapiro, who are outspoken voices, and give them a platform to talk on where they didn't have one before, right?
Yeah.
Like Brett, I don't know if Brett Cooper had a YouTube channel or Ben Shapiro had a YouTube channel before the Daily Wire.
So Ben Shapiro,
but I know they do now.
Yeah.
No, my point is, I know they do now.
Yeah.
Like, they gave them that platform to speak on. They gave them the audience. Now, whether they keep the audience or not is 100% on them. And by the sounds of the contracts that Daily Wire is sending out, it directly reflects what they are getting paid. And so there is a little bit of people-pleasing going on there.
Yeah. A lot of people think that essentially Daily Wire paid for Brett Cooper's success because she blew past 1 million subscribers in like 3 or 4 months. And that's like never happened before. And then if you look into like how much Daily Wire spends on Facebook alone for advertising, is ridiculous.
And that is why they write the contracts the way they write the contracts, right?
Yeah.
Is because if Brett Cooper gets banned from Facebook, all of that money is gone.
But that's the thing, is like they didn't have to do this with Steven Crowder.
No, and I completely agree, which is actually where my point was going.
Okay.
The Daily Wire takes these people. I mean, like you say, I'm not trying to be a cunt, but Brett Cooper, who was Brett Cooper before Daily Wire?
A like B-list actress.
Okay, you want to give her B? I was gonna give her like D, but like she's been in a couple of things, but like she's never been a big name in anything.
Correct.
Like, I would say a B-list actress is someone who's been a middle or big name in one thing. Well, she hasn't. I'm sorry. Like, where was she? Where did she come from?
Yeah.
I don't know. She could have been Cotton Eye Joe for all I know. But the Daily Wire took that, saw that she had points that they wanted people to hear, gave her a platform, and they are protecting their investment in her.
Yeah.
And for that purpose the Daily Wire as a business and as a business model works. The problem is when you go to anyone who already has a big business model or a big voice that they have worked hard to create with other people, and they have a following and everything. They could have gone to fucking they couldn't give that contract to Tony Robbins. They couldn't give that contract to trying to think of another public speaker, but my brain went dead. I had like 4 of them right there, and then they just all fucking disappeared after I said Tony Robbins. But like they couldn't give it to, like, think of what's his name, Bert Crimshaw, or like any big public speaker who has their own following. Like, he's a comedian, right? And
yeah.
He's a dumb comedian. And you couldn't give it to fucking Eddie Izzard, British comedian. He has his own following. He knows what he's doing. And you couldn't give it to Trump. Like, he has his own following. You couldn't give it to Biden. He has his own following. He has his own platforms. He knows where he's going to talk. But that's what they tried to do, was go, no, we're gonna give you this platform to talk on. Because that's their business model. We know how to give you a place. That is their business model. We know how to market people and give you a platform to talk on. If you boil it down, that is their business model. Yeah. Well, that's not what Crowder needs. Crowder needs to be honest, Crowder needs a bank. He needs someone to payroll to fund his payroll so that he can make the videos to profit share. Yeah. Because his videos and his ideas and his conversations, and he brings in money, but he needs someone to roll the bank so that he can do that. Yeah. He needs a bankroll. That's all he needs, is a bankroll.
Yeah, and like a lot of people are talking about like how he's going to come out with his own, or that the way that people were responding is that Steven Crowder is going to create his own streaming service. My problem with that is he never said that. He never even alluded to it, but everybody's out here in the interview. In the interview, yeah.
And in the first video, he said, "Bring it to us. This is what I'm currently thinking. I'm not promising you," and I can't remember. I don't remember the exact words, but he said something along the lines of, "I'm not promising you I'm gonna come out with anything, but I'm currently thinking I might need to."
Well, yeah. He was, asking his audience if they want him to create his own or find a home somewhere, or in his own opinion, just be done.
And then the problem is, he then alluded to the fact that he had an overwhelming response from the audience and for people looking for contract help and stuff, which, read between the lines. If someone says, I think it might be necessary to start World War III. Oh, Jesus, all of you think it might be necessary to start World War III too. Like, it's not hard to go A squared plus B squared equals C squared? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know.
So, yes, he never said the words, I'm going to make my... Here's my opinion, and on the whole thing. If he makes his own, he's going to make a fuck ton of money. Whoever is that... My opinion is, whoever goes and makes that platform for him to speak on, for people who already have followings and they don't need... All they need is a bankroll to roll them so that they can profit share, is going to make a fuck ton of money.
Yeah.
All you need is the capital investment to be able to make the first month's videos for them, and then just profit share.
Yeah.
Because that's all you need. And obviously, you're getting into the nitty gritty. Is he gonna want to expand his company? Well, then you have to think about, well, that's going to increase the bankrolling amount, and therefore he may need to get less of the profit sharing, because he's going to be if Crowder or someone like him wants to get into that but wants to expand their production capabilities, because he does pay 25 people, soon to be 30 people's salaries.
Yeah.
If he wants to one day have that at 50, well, there needs to be a clause in whatever contract he does sign that basically says the more people you take on, the less money you're going to make in your profit share, because otherwise the business is just losing money, right?
Yeah.
But and that's what I'm saying. Like, my opinion is the Daily Wire is good at what it does, which is start giving people a voice and people that are struggling to get their own platform to talk on. Do I think the Daily Wire is going to save freedom of speech? No. The Daily Wire puts out content that's funny and somewhat edgy.
But like safe edgy, like
No, it's that's what I was very specific. Somewhat edgy.
Yeah.
Like it tickles the line. You know?
Yeah.
It's not fucking charging the line, it's not punching the line, it's not trying to get past the line. It's just tickling the line like, oh, how you doing over there, line?
Yeah. Like they'll say stuff that the left won't like, but they're not being brash about it. And Crowder can be very brash if he wants to be.
It's never loud enough, and it's never big enough.
Yeah.
You didn't give them a black eye. You tickled their armpit. And so they go, oh, you stop that. And then you do it again, and they go, oh, you stop that. But Crowder's out there giving the left a black eye, twisting their arm behind their back, like. So yeah, they're coming after him. They're getting their big boy friends to come after him.
Yeah.
And they're two separate entities. And right, the Tim guy,
Tim Pool.
Tim Pool with his fucking banner. If he wants to put a banner up, like he doesn't want to put a banner up, but what if he does?
Yeah.
Right. Like okay, those are the kind of people that like you can't be. You're gonna be on your own, or someone's going to have to take a huge risk on you.
Yeah.
And whether like I say, whether you want to admit that it's a risk or not, in terms of the personality of the people and the fact that they can bring in the money, we can debate about that all day. It's the risk on the platform. Yeah. Because if you make something on your own, your name is at risk if it goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
If they sign up to Rumble and they do it on their own and they fail, their name's on the line.
Mm-hmm.
If someone signs them and builds in the contract wrong how the profit sharing works, they could lose their business.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, there's no risk because he brings in money, but you have to really trust that fucking lawyer. And you have to really trust that fucking accountant.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, there is, quote, no risk. But if all you have to do is have the contract written a little bit wrong for businesses to go up sideways. And it's happened many times in US history, to where like a contract was written wrong and that was it. The company was bankrupt. Like
yeah.
So yeah, there's no risk to Rumble, and yeah, there's no risk to taking on Steven Crowder because he brings on his own thing. But there's always a risk, and it may be a small one. You know, if you run the numbers and like you do all the math and you do absolutely everything, it may just be a small risk.
Yeah.
But in business sense, a small risk on $1 billion is a big risk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
it only
I
has a 1%
that.
chance of failing, but 1% of the time your company's gone and you're on the streets.
Yeah.
That's a big fucking risk. And I don't know what the Daily Wire employs now, but 200 people, they're all out of jobs too.
Yeah.
Now, people like Brett Cooper and Ben Shapiro and, you know, the names from Daily Wire, they'll get signed on somewhere else, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
But the video editors, like, unless Ben Shapiro goes, I want to take these video editors and these people with me because they do a good job, they're shit out of luck for the next 3 to 6 months while they're looking for a job. Yep. And they're not getting a severance pay because the company went bankrupt. They didn't choose to fire him.
Yeah.
The company fucking went under. And that's my point, is like, I think that the Daily Wire recognized how much of a risk taking on Crowder was because they tickle and he tries to break their fucking neck. Right? Like,
Yeah.
let's be honest. That's the difference in the amount of risque each of them take. And because of that, they were like, there is a lot of risk that everyone could come down. Because like, let's be honest, if you put, I'm trying to think of a good example that doesn't use these people, but I can't. If you put Crowder on the Daily Wire, the left's not going to go after Crowder.
Yeah, then they're going to go after the Daily Wire.
And that's going to cost them lawyers, and that's going to cost them accountants, and that's going to cost them, that's going to cost them money in terms of lawyers and accountants. That's going to cost them people in terms of people won't want to be associated with it.
Yeah.
Which is going to cost them revenue. In terms of will they make money? Most likely. And my opinion is whoever takes him on or builds their own platform or anything is going to make a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there is that risk that you could end up sleeping on the streets.
Yeah.
That's,
I agree.
That is my point with, like, it is a risk, and it's a big risk. Like, I don't think that, and I think that's why Daily Wire words their contracts the way they do, is because they want to give people a voice. They want to give them the ability to tickle the norms and poke and prod, but they want to keep them in check. Like, hey, there's 200 other people that work here. If you fuck up, your name is associated with our business.
Yeah.
And that will, and whether you wanna get down to the nitty gritties of it, it'll affect them for the next 10 years if you do something radical, or it'll affect them for 15 years, or it puts them under. Like, there is a risk associated with that. Did anyone buy a blimp from the guys that built the blimp for the Hindenburg for the next 100 years? Like, you see my point though, right?
Yeah.
Like, people are not gonna the people that enjoy the current Daily Wire's content could stop going to the Daily Wire if Crowder went in and goes, hey, look, I'm killing the left people.
Well, so this brings up something that I felt was really weird about this whole entire thing too, is Daily Wire and even the hosts, in response to everything that Crowder put out, like, they took everything he was saying extremely personal, and it's like,
I think they were misled by their leader on that. And
it's like, so Candace Owens, the fourth video I sent you on when she's on Tim Pool.
I didn't watch that one.
Okay, so she went on. She's just a host. She has nothing to do with contracts, but she goes on and is like speaking as Daily Wire, and it's just like she's just she honestly acts like a Karen who takes everything personally. That is her response. And Shapiro, after the third video, Shapiro made a response video too, and it was like personal and emotional. And I'm like, guys, you never talk about like Ben Shapiro's whole thing is like, facts are more important than feelings. Facts don't care about feelings. And yet in his video, he's talking about, feelings and how it's a personal attack on him and his friends and all this other stuff. And he's like, no, Steven Crowder just pointed out this is a really shitty contract and it's a little bit predatory. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, the one for Candace Owens, I couldn't watch, and I was annoyed because I wanted to watch it and see. After watching the last one, I wanted to see what she'd said, but I couldn't get it to load for some reason. So it was, I don't know if YouTube was having issues, my PC was having issues, or what. But
who knows?
Technical difficulties. But yeah.
I think that they perchance, were a little bit misled in terms of. I don't believe, personally, that the owners and contract lawyers of the Daily Wire went to each of them and go, look at how much he's bullying us. But I guarantee in the office there were people that felt that way and their behavior reflected it.
Yeah, I could see that.
And so, do I think that he was attacking anyone personally? No. Do I think that there was an air in the office that was around war has been started? Yes. And if someone attacked you like that, like, you think, like, if you were to go into try to go into business with someone, and then they let something out that said, look at this contract, and they said, like, look at this contract, it's fucking shit, it's horrible, I hate this person, without saying those words, right? Like, how can you be fucking treating people like this, you dirty piece of shit? Realistically, like, if you take the meaning away from what he said, how can you be treating people like this, you dirty pieces of shit? Right?
Yeah.
Like, and then you come out and you go, whoa. Everyone signs this. And these are our reasons. And then they keep going, no, you're a dirty piece of shit, you need to change the way you do business. You don't think that I'm going to come after him? Like...
I guess I have a different mindset when it comes to that. Because, like, let's say I was an employee at Daily Wire. I would not take offense on anybody criticizing my company because they're not criticizing me. I don't care.
Okay. And this is... I'm gonna try and put this in small, easy to digest words. What's your IQ?
Probably like 112, 120, somewhere around there.
So like 50 higher than the average? Yeah, I know, I'm a cunt. Get over it. But...
Okay, I understand. Okay, so let's change topics.
Change topics now? Okay,
yeah,
Jesus.
We'll start talking about this contract between Steven Crowder and Daily Wire, and instead talk about the contract between Wizards of the Coast / D&D and the public.
Okay, because you told me there was some... Yeah, I remember you saying that there was something else, but you weren't going to give me a heads up on it. So this is what it is.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
are you going to share me some content to catch me up?
Or? Well, I'll run through kind of the history. So, upon its creation, all the way up through 5th edition, D&D had what is called an open game license, which essentially means people can use their content for whatever purposes.
Right.
There are a few things within D&D that are trademarked, but we're talking like maybe 2% of everything that is incorporated in D&D. Only 2% of it is trademarked. Everything else falls under the open game license. And this is what has led to similar tabletops like Pathfinder being created, which is a modified version of 3.5 edition. This is what has led to the tremendous growth of the online show Critical Role, which is a bunch of voice actors that play D&D. And then there's even companies who, like create 3D printed tile sets for people's table games. Anyways, so D&D is going to be creating a new edition of Dungeons and Dragons. And along with it, they came out with a new open game license
Uh-huh.
And part of that is that if you make any amount of money through D&D content, even if I'm just recording me and my friends playing D&D, putting it out on YouTube, and I earn money from YouTube, I have to let Wizards of the Coast know how much I made from D&D. If you're a private company who makes, game tile sets or whatever, or dice or whatever.
This is okay, so take a breath. They're a company. Yeah, no shit. They made something that they were like, wow, the nerds are gonna love this. Like, realistically, right?
Well, so let me finish, because I also have my own take on it as well.
All right, I'll let you finish. Fine.
So with this new open game license, they want you to let them know how much money you're making off of D&D, and then if you make where is it? If you make more than $750,000 per year, then you have to start paying royalties to Wizards of the Coast. Now, here's the thing where, like, my caveat is I would be okay with this open game license going forward only if it applied to the new edition going forward. But that's not how this new open game license is written. This is anything D&D related, whether it's 1st edition through 5th edition. So it's essentially going, that old contract, we're just going to rip that up regardless of how you feel about it.
Yep. Okay.
And just instigate this new contract. And so a lot of the D&D community has responded negatively. Now, yes, I understand it's their company. They can do whatever they want with it. But I think this is similar to the Daily Wire thing, where they didn't take into effect blast back or pushback on it.
In terms of what? Explain yourself.
So before 5th edition, D&D was
made very little money.
Yes, exactly. 5th edition came out, and honestly, because of Critical Role and its growth, D&D became very, very popular. Now, for D&D, you still have to buy all the books, and they're like $50 a book. And so, like, just the if you're just a player who wants to play vanilla, that's $50. If you want any of the DLC, then that's another $50 per DLC. If you're a dungeon master, then that's another $100, because there's 2 books that are required for a DM.
Think about this if you want to use WoW, we can use WoW. So you play $15 a month, I think, to play WoW. Right? That's you paying Blizzard a license fee to do whatever you want with the game and your version of the game. You still have to apply to all the World of Warcraft guidelines, right? You can't be a dick. You can't be racist.
Yeah.
You can't tell someone you fucked their mother and whatnot. But as long as you're working within the terms of service of Blizzard, you may do whatever you wish on the game and with your viewing experience of the game. So, like, if I want to stream it, I can stream it. If I want to make money from streaming it, I can. D&D was born into a realm where it was a tabletop game. People played it at home with their friends, right? And so if you're playing it at home with your friends and telling people the story of you playing it at home with your friends, like, okay, whatever. Like, you're not making money from that. D&D has now realized, and quite rightly so in my opinion, that they actually have quite a lucrative thing, especially with the Dungeons and Dragons movie coming out, and especially with the show that you said, the
Critical Role.
Especially with Critical Role and those kind of things, and people that do stream, Dungeons and Dragons, and the smaller ones and everything that are streaming that. I completely agree with them that they should be able to know how much money other people are making using their concepts. I don't think that's a hard ask. And if you're making more than $750K a year off a concept that another person has built and is developing, yeah, you should probably pay royalties. That's how using those kind of things work. Like companies that want to build. Now, let me try. If you want to build a cog and you need a bearing in it, but you don't want to have to build a patent for a bearing, you have to license a patent for the bearing from someone else to be able to use it in your cog. And when I'm seeing things like Critical Theory being as popular as it is, the fact that we have a D&D movie coming out this year, like these are big money making things, and D&D's gone, oh shit, we didn't think in my opinion,
So
D&D's gone, we didn't think nerds were gonna stick with us for this long. Fuck.
Here's my only thing about this though, is Critical Role would have been big regardless of it being D&D. So D&D's now essentially trying to do a cash grab off of Critical Role success.
I don't think they are. I think they are. I think they as a business have realized that they, and to be quite honest, I think that they have been for a long time not meeting up to their potential earnings.
But so you're okay with them even resending the previous OGL as far as through 1st through 5th edition?
Yeah. I don't think.
Interesting.
I think their original game license, which was the open game license, was written and designed for when you played tabletop D&D at my house, and we had Corey, Brett, Rochelle, and Tubby over to play, and we played it for 4 hours, and then we went away and we told our friends about how our D&D session had gone and whatnot, right?
But nothing under the open game license would fall under that, though. Like, you telling people about a game you played, that's not covered under any contract, because there's no, unless it's like a work contract where there's an NDA.
We're in agreement. Perfect. We're in agreement. That's my point. Is it was designed in an age where there wasn't a need for an open game license. And I think that they have quite rightly realized that they are not meeting their business potential, and that they could be making a lot more money, and they want to know how much money other people are making using their intellectual property. It's their IP.
Well, it is another person's IP that they stole from, but
they're the ones that got the license out first. It's their IP.
They own the IP. It is not their IP.
Okay, legally speaking, they own the intellectual property.
Yes.
So technically speaking, I would be fine with them saying, "Fuck off! You can't play D&D anymore." Like, it's their IP. They can do what they fucking want with it. Like, if they wanna burn the company to the ground, all right, go ahead.
Yeah.
Like, it's their IP. They can do it. Like, I'm fine with it. Either way. Do I think that they are making a mistake in terms of publicity? Absolutely. Do I think that they should have just, actually worded their new licensing very differently? Absolutely. Do I think that they're wrong? No. People have been making money off D&D for years.
Okay, so while we've been talking, I've been looking up the original OGL. And in it says it's allow third-party publishers to produce compatible material, included the basic rules and elements of D&D, such as classes, monsters, spell, and magic items, enabling the creation of legal support products for the game, modeled on various open source licenses used in software industry. Publishers could also use the separate D20 system trademark license to... Anyways, so there was a financial aspect off of the original one, too.
Right. There 100% was, because it was allowing other people to build parts for a game. This is like... Okay. Let me try and explain this again. You come over to my house, and we play D&D with our friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can... At the time, that was the extent of playing D&D. Right?
Okay.
Now, we can stream to 12 million people.
Okay, not quite correct. Not quite correct.
And play with people across the globe.
Okay, your statements are true, but that is not the correct context of the OGLs. Even in 3rd edition, the OGL, we could create our own systems, classes, monsters, spells, magic items, and sell them. And that was okay. All the way back in 3rd edition. Now they are saying you can't do that anymore. Or you can do it, but you have to, depending on how much money you make, you might have to pay us royalties.
Yeah. I think that what has happened here is they have gone, yeah, it's a bunch of nerds that play a video game. Yeah, it's a bunch of nerds that play a video game. Yeah, it's a bunch of nerds that play a video game, and it's kind of popular around the world, and they play it across the world. People are starting to make a lot of money from building parts and doing stuff, but is it enough for us to worry about and ruin our reputation? Probably not. Holy shit, we've missed out on an entire section of the market. I think is what their thought process over the last 20 years.
I can see that.
And instead of carefully aligning a way where they can be like, hey, we would like to talk about getting a license, because realistically all you need is for a fucking sticker approved by the whatever it is, Wizards Sanctum. Fuck, what's it called? Goddamn.
Wizards of the Coast.
Thank you. Approved D&D Wizards of the Coast merchandise. All you need is that sticker on the box, and it's approved for official D&D use, right? And you can send your product in for approval to get the license to be able to put that on your box, and it will cost you 5 cents a piece or something. But you can word a contract that has that in it. Instead, they've gone, no, we want to know how much money you're making, and if you're making too much, we want our cut of it.
Yeah.
Different mentalities? Yeah. Do I think one of them is way better for the community? Yeah. Do I think one of them's wrong? No, it's their business.
I think the other thing that a lot of people are upset with is in the original OGL, it had stated, and I can't find it written exactly, but I know there's a part in the original OGL where it talks about in perpetuity. Like, these are the rules in perpetuity. And then this new one is like, we don't care about that old one. I think that's another thing that a lot of people are upset with. So it's like, for instance, Blizzard.
Until you can pull the license out and it says these are the rules forever in perpetuity, period. It doesn't matter. And
I'm looking it up now too.
So in 4th edition, its own terms, the OGL is perpetual and remain in widespread use.
What's the company called?
Wizards of the Coast.
Not West Coast Wizards.
Wizards.
Wizards of the Coast. Fucking hell.
It's Wizards of the Coast, Harry.
I searched for West Coast Wizards and got some interesting results. Okay.
Let's see here.
OGL 1.1.
That's the new one.
Okay.
You want 1.0. The OGL states that in consideration for agreeing to use this license, the contributors grant you a perpetual worldwide royalty-free, non-exclusive license with the exact terms of the license to use the open game content.
Read it again.
In consideration for agreeing to use this license, the contributors grant you a perpetual, worldwide, royalty-free, non-exclusive license with the exact terms of this license to use the open game content.
Then they fucked. Perpetual definition, according to Oxford English Dictionary, is never ending or changing.
Yeah.
They're fucked.
Well, and then royalty-free, non-exclusive. Like, the original language was very important.
Yeah, then they done fucked up. They realized that they weren't making money. In my opinion, they could still ask for it, but they realized that they weren't making money, and they realized that they wanted to make money, and unfortunately they can't, and they're probably going to get taken to court over it,
So,
and they will probably...
Here's their defense, is while the OGL states it is perpetual, it does not state that it is irrevocable. That's their defense as of right now. But
never ending or changing.
yeah, it's gonna be
Stop. Perpetual has a Oxford English Dictionary definition. Never ending or changing. Done. It don't, you can put as much legalese around it as you want. You have said that it is free to use, period, forever.
Yeah.
And you can't change it. Just kidding. Well,
It doesn't say it's not irrevocable, so therefore we revoke it. Oh my
never
gosh.
ending or changing.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this all flushes out, honestly. Because that's the thing, is all this PR, bad PR, is hitting right before the movie. And honestly, the movie doesn't even look that good.
I'm watching the movie. You can go die in a fucking hole.
It doesn't look that good. It has the same problem as previous Dungeons and Dragons movies. They're not good. Their storyline is very cliche. They're gonna have like 12-year-old slapstick humor in it. And I mean, nowadays it's going to be extremely CGI, so the CGI is probably going to look really good. Acting's probably going to be hit or miss. But
Sorry, sorry. I was choking on my drink, so I muted. Oh, fuck.
Why are you choking?
Because I tried to inhale my water instead of drinking it.
Ah, okay. Should probably stop doing that.
Fucking A. Well, I was worried about the fact that it was starting to spill, so I quickly inhaled.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah, as one does, and then coughed it all back up on my keyboard. Fuck. I am interested in it for storyline and CGI. The acting with the actors that they have in it is going to be slightly above average.
Yeah. I mean, Chris Pine's fine. I don't have a problem with him. But Michelle Rodriguez is very, like, typecast. That's all she's good at is, you know, little chick who's got attitude. That's it. Those are the only names I know off of it.
I think the acting is going to be slightly above average for D&D movies.
Oh yeah, okay. For D&D movies.
The problem I have with it is I think it's going to be another World of Warcraft movie. It does decently well around the world, and then there's not another one.
Yeah. Honestly, if they did a Wrath of the Lich King movie, it would sell.
Honestly, I don't understand why, because the first one was like the Warcraft line. I don't understand why they didn't, like, when they released Classic, release a World of Warcraft Classic movie. Could have put it on behind a fucking paywall on the Battle.net website. I would have paid to watch it. Like,
yeah. Yeah. Because honestly, like, I really liked that movie. It wasn't bad.
That movie was a good movie. It was a well-made, story-driven movie.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like they have all the stories out of the 10 expansions now that they can tell, on top of, you know, Warcraft 2 and Warcraft 3. Like, there's so much story and lore that they can make movies.
They can make a fucking series.
Yeah.
And put it behind a paywall on the website, and I would pay to watch it. And I am not. I feel no qualms about saying that I would pay to watch it. They could call it the Warcraft series, and it could be like a combination of just like cut scenes and live action and CGI stuff.
Yeah.
But as long as it follows the chronological order and like it tells the story, like I would be 100% fine with paying to watch it.
Well, like if they don't want to do the live action, I mean, DreamWorks has a good CGI animation. There's Imagination, they're good for CGI animation. They have their own freaking CGI team that's freaking incredible. The fact, like look back even on the original World of Warcraft trailer. That CGI in that freaking trailer was amazing for its time.
It's still fucking on par.
Exactly.
Like, how many years later? 18? And it's still fucking on par.
Yeah. It's just... I mean, obviously that's going to take a lot of time and energy and money. Lots of money. But honestly, you could make so much of that back.
Well, you could make all of it back plus some. Like I say, put it behind a fucking paywall. How many subscribers does Blizzard have? Like, if 50% of them pay $15 a month to watch an extra $15 a month so that they can watch the story of World of Warcraft, like...
The only thing is, if they wanted to tack on another subscription, they would have to make monthly content, at least.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You make it like a weekly
Yeah.
show. You build it out for, like, you let people know that it's coming. You build it out for a year, so you're a year in advance, and then you release it, and every week you release an episode.
Yeah.
For the next, like, I don't know, 4 years until you're done with a story.
Yeah.
And then you start, you know, and you can start having your other teams CGI, like your fucking League of Legends team CGI team.
Yeah.
Or not League of Legends.
Arcane was good.
Yeah, but that's not Blizzard. I meant Heroes of the Storm.
But I mean,
but Arcane was fucking good.
Yeah, it's because that's what's really cool about Arcane is it's like its own genre of animation. It looks really cool.
Yeah, it did.
But
it was pretty on the point.
It made me moist.
Jinx will always make me moist.
Oh man, All right.
Skinny psycho with titties? Yes, please.
All right. I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Oh, wow. I'm surprised you made it this far. Well, if you did like this content, go ahead and click that like button. Go ahead and follow and subscribe on the appropriate social media sites. And I hope to see you here in the future. Until then, peace.